So this evening I'm joined by Rob Hodson. So Rob, 2020 wasn't really the year that everyone thought it was going to be, and obviously you didn't really get the opportunity to get out with the new team much. But just aside from racing, how have you been keeping during the coronavirus lockdown?
Not too bad at all. Thanks for asking. Everything's gone. Oh, well, it's been a disaster of a year, to be honest. But I didn't have much of a lockdown myself because I've been working all through, so it's kept me busy, and it's been a pretty normal year from that side of things. But yeah, the racing hasn't gone to plan at all.
So just winding it back a little bit, your dad was a fairly successful road racer in his time and picked up a couple of podiums at the Isle of Man, TT and whatnot. So I suppose the mantle has now kind of been passed down to the next generation of Hodson, and it's with yourself. So
Yeah, he's done the TT he did a couple of Manx Grand Prix to start off with, and then he was straight in the TT, and he's done it. It must be, I don't know, 35, 40 years, something like that. So a long time, and had a lot of good fortune there. Good results and things, as well as some bad luck as well. So yeah, he's still at it. He's still doing a bit of racing. Not this year. He's not been out as yet. So yeah, I don't know what his future plans are, but definitely I've certainly been been racing this year and keeping busy.
So as I said, that's obviously where you got your love for the sport, and where you kind of got the love for motorbikes. So from that, I suppose, how did you sort of get into the sport yourself?
Yeah, obviously, with as you said, my dad's done it since he was doing it before I was born. So that's all I knew as a kid. Our family holidays were sort of at the Isle of Man TT for 2 weeks. So that's how it's been since. And then yeah, so it was inevitable. It was going to happen at some point. And then 2005 was my first year. It wasn't quite like there's a bike, go and get on with it. I sort of had to wait till I had a job and I could, fund most of it myself. So yeah, it kicked off from there, and that's that. We've not had a season off since. So it's been time's gone really quick, but we're still trying to progress.
And then, of course, I suppose I'm sure everyone at home would agree with me, but you're a fairly consistent rider and a name that is heard a lot of over the commentary at the likes of the Isle of Man TT and, of course, Scarborough, which isn't too far away from you. So
Yeah.
just before talking about the TT, you've had a fair bit of success at the Manx yourself, picking up a Super Twin race win. Was it in 2015? Was that your first?
15, yeah.
Was that your first win around there?
That was 2015 was the first win. My first year at the Manx, which that was my first road race. Was the Manx. That was 2012 on a Super Twin, which it weren't the greatest of years because of the bad weather and things like that. But yeah, first podium was the year after, 2013, on a Super Twin. So yeah, the twins classes treated me quite well. I'm not sure why, but it must have just suit me. But yeah, definitely the Manx Grand Prix. It's been a brilliant event for me for must be, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, something like that. Up until the point I got the win. So yeah, it's a mega feeling, sort of getting up on the podium. I'm lucky enough to have stood up there a few times. So yeah, hopefully one day we can get a TT one as well.
And then I suppose leading on from that, it was 2016 was your first TT.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
So it's since then total of 11 bronze replicas, which is of course an achievement in itself. But I suppose, what was it like going to the TT in 2016 as a newcomer? And I know you've been over there at the Manx and whatever, and you kind of got to have a little look around the place and all the rest of it. But I suppose, what was it like? What sort of was it? Did it live up to your expectations?
Yeah, we had, I think 2016, to be honest, with the replica thing there, more than me, because I didn't actually know how many replicas I've got,
I'm just a good researcher, so like.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a strange one, because obviously I'd been there for 4 or 5 years previous with the Manx, and 2016 was my first year there on a superbike, which was a bit of definitely an eye-opener, but just because the more power you've got and things like that. So it was definitely a massive learning curve. Like I said, despite being there for a few years before. And it's sort of, things have just picked up from there, really. We didn't have the best of years. Some years you have good, some years bad, but it was, I've definitely no regrets about anything, going to the TT or anything just yet anyway. So, yeah.
And then, of course, 2018 was probably your best season, picking up, of course, that 14th place in the senior TT. So I suppose getting that, did it kind of give you the confidence that you were like, oh, here, I can be pushing for a top 10?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. We sort of, the race, 2018, I remember the night before we did, was in practice and the bike broke down. So it was only a small electrical connector, that had gone down. So it was a bit, it sort of upset the mood for the race, not knowing what was going to happen. But yeah, definitely. Obviously the senior is always the hardest one because you've done a week's worth of racing, as everyone, as well as a week of practice, and you get a lot of people sort of dropping out, breaking down, and things like that. So it's one of them. I sort of carried on going, and I set my fastest ever lap in that race. So yeah, to be in the top 15 was an achievement. I always think, sort of for myself, when I was doing my own thing with my own bikes, a top 20 is, I'm putting myself amongst the lads similar to myself and, where I want to be. So to get 14th was brilliant. And for the year after, I was definitely looking towards, edging closer, a couple of places further up, maybe towards the top 10. But yeah, things didn't quite pan out last year, and this year didn't pan out at all. So we're just hanging on for next year now. That definitely.
And then I always kind of wondered, is the Manx, because you'd hear people kind of going to the Manx before they go to the TT. Did you find the Manx kind of a good prep for the TT, or are they just completely like worlds apart?
It was definitely. I mean, before I did my first Manx in 2012, I'd agreed to ride a bike which I'd never sat on before. In hindsight, I should have gone on my own bike and just done my own thing, and it would have been perfect. I would have won everything, or not. But the bike I was riding, like I said, I hadn't rode before, so the weather wasn't the kindest. We lost a lot of practice and that sort of thing. So I sort of class 2013 as my first proper year, where I had a good go at it, because I was sort of a bit, I'm not sure underprepared the right word for my first Manx, but I sort of picked it up as I went along. Beforehand, we went across with my dad, and he taught us a couple of things, but there's nothing quite like doing it for yourself, So, but definitely, I think riding amongst rides of a similar ability and picking, taking things steady at the Manx was definitely the way to go for myself. Newcomers at the TT, I think, have got a lot of weight on the shoulders somehow. They're in amongst the best, and it is a challenge. It's not easy at all. God knows what the nerves are like, but I'm definitely glad I did a few Manx Grand Prix beforehand.
So I suppose before you got the opportunity to ride with the Defabet team, you were running your own bikes. And what is it like now being associated with a team and not kind of having that pressure of, oh God, do I have this, do I have that? You're solely able to just focus now on your racing. It must be a huge weight off your shoulders.
Oh, it is definitely. Yeah, it's the bike preparation is done for me. I can rock up in a pair of sunglasses and that's it, But no, seriously, it's been brilliant. I've not sort of been in that position before where everything's done for me. I just literally get on the bike and go and do it. It has been like, obviously, this year's been strange. We had big plans for doing all the roads and a few BSBs as well, but the roads have obviously been knocked on the head with the current situation and things like that. So it's definitely been different, and I don't know, it's a strange one because I'm sort of used to preparing one of my own bikes, and I've got a couple of lads who, a few lads who come and help me with my bikes, and we'll take a bike each, prepare it, and away we go, But so it's definitely a strange one to have everything prepared for me, and like I said, just sort of arrive and ride, which it's good, it definitely helps the mindset that you can just ride the bike. That's all you've got to think about. I know I don't have to think, is that wheel tight? Are them brakes done? You know, anything like that. It's all well prepared beforehand. So yeah, it's definitely been progress, I would say.
I think though as well, and now I could be wrong in saying this, but I think when you're going to the likes of say a TT as well, it is helpful having a team with you, because as you say, you know, there isn't as much pressure on you and to you know, do things about is this tight or is that loose or whatever. You know, you can just kind of focus on learning the circuit and getting the head down, I suppose, and not having that extra stress. So I suppose it's good in that regard as well.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see how the TT panned out, because like you say, I've not got that stress of preparing bikes and things like that. It's just a case of riding. And yeah, there wouldn't be as much pressure in that sense. Obviously the team, you know, want to see me do well and want to progress as a team, you know. So next year will definitely be interesting, and I'll be trying my best to make it my best one. Yeah, you know.
Well, fingers crossed. But I suppose the way this year has gone, it's kind of hard to sort of plan into the future. But I suppose in an ideal world, what would your plans sort of be for 2021?
As long as everything, you know, if we take the COVID job out of it completely, we'll be doing all the major road races, you know, starting off with the Northwest and all the major ones, and Macau at the end of the year. Hopefully we can do a few more BSBs, because I've done, I think I've done 2 this year, Donington and Silverstone, which I've never done them before. So that's a different thing again. You know, it's a completely different style of riding and different tyres and what have you. So if I could do a few more of them and help me progress as a rider, you know, that would be perfect. You know, and hopefully that can transfer onto the roads, as you see with sort of Peter Hickman and Dean Harrison and them. You know, they're doing those meetings and they've sort of upped the game massively in the last couple of years. You know, so if I could sort of follow that trend and make progress, that'd be the main job.
Did you get out actually at the Gold Cup in Scarborough there a couple of weeks ago? I didn't.
Yeah, we did that. I believe it's on TV tonight, so yeah, might catch me on that. I don't know, but yeah, we did. I'm not massively experienced around the Oliver's Mount circuit, but the last we did the meeting before, which should have been the Spring Cup, and then did the Gold Cup, which was it was good. I was on the Super Twin and 600 there, so each time I've gone out, you know, knocked a good few chunks of time off, and we're heading towards where we need to be. So I'm looking forward to that'll be another one for next year. Definitely go back there and see if we can pick up where we left off. Because I've never been a massive fan of the circuit for whatever reason, but this year I've sort of clicked with it a bit better, and I'm really quite into it. So I'm looking forward to getting back. You know, the new organisers have done a brilliant job with it, and yeah, hopefully we can go back and improve.
And just when you're saying there, you did a couple of rounds at BSB as well. I suppose kind of going to the road race there in Scarborough and then coming back onto the circuits, like, do you majorly have to kind of change? Like, obviously you can kind of just adapt, but as regards the bike, is there major things that would need to be changed on the bike to kind of suit circuits and roads?
There is, yeah. I mean, at the last BSB I did was the Superstock 1000 at Silverstone, so that's a really wide track. But then the big bikes aren't raced up at Scarborough now. It's just 600s and Super Twins and the smaller category bikes, which sort of makes sense, you know, because the big bikes are sort of a bit too powerful for that circuit now, is what they say. So, but yeah, definitely as a rider, you've got to adapt to. Obviously, Silverstone's massive; it's really wide and open, and then Scarborough, it's like riding down a garden path, you know. So it's definitely as a rider. But yeah, if you took the same bike to Silverstone and then took it to Scarborough, you would definitely have to adapt it to the circuit, you know, suspension wise and things like that. Yeah, it's just a completely different job, really.
Well, thank you very much, Rob, for coming on this evening and telling us a little bit about what you've been up to and what you hope to achieve next year. And we hope we see you back anyway, be it in a BSB paddock or hopefully a road race paddock anyway, if road racing.
Definitely, yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much and have a great rest of 2020 if we can, of course.
Thanks very much, you too. Thanks for having me on.